A game like Sunday happens. Obviously, you guys flush it within 24 hours. Is it easier said than done?
No, I mean, it's not easy. I think the most important thing is that you have a process in place that here's how we're going to go about a Monday, no matter what happened, so that you can always fall back on what we call winning behavior, like going through this process and being critical of every aspect of our preparation and how we performed on Sunday. Having that process it makes it easier because that there's always going to be consistency to that, and I think that's important for the coaches and the players to have. I call it the after action review. It's important for me that I always have the same after action review, and so like it's hard if you're competitive, right, to lose period, and then to have a bad loss like that. Obviously doesn't sit well, but you always got to have the ability to go through that process. And then, hey, like, this is a long season. It's the NFL. Obviously, we didn't do what we need to do to come out and perform at a high enough level to win that game. And then it's okay. How do we have to do it this next week?
You guys often talk about how each game is its own game and it's a new week every week. When you're in a situation where obviously you guys didn't stop the run as well as you would have liked last week, and I'm sure the same was true for the Detroit game, do you get concerned about a trend, or because each game is its own game, there's issues in each particular game that don't necessarily connect?
Well, I think there's things that you have to identify, no matter what opponent which opponent you're facing, that we need to correct on our end, no matter what, right? And so, that's a lot of different things. That can be scheme related, that can be technique related. How we're practicing, how we got to train certain aspects better in the run game. No matter who you're playing, to fix those issues kind of internally. And then obviously there's going to be elements of, okay, this week, who are we playing? What do we have to do? What do they do well in the run game? How do we have to take that away? Who are their people? What's their scheme? So kind of twofold with that one.
Since Justin got hurt in the Detroit game, the snaps have really gone up high for a lot of the other linemen, and he was the leading guy in the first two games. Mm-hmm. Is that sustainable? Is there a possibility that could be better allocated? Or just curious about that, because some guys are playing an awful lot more snaps.
Part of that goes into how many do you have up for the game. When JJ was healthy, the first game in that Detroit game, we had 6 up, and so this past game there was only 5 up, and that's going to distribute the reps a little bit differently. Like, guys are going to have to take those reps, but you ultimately want to keep it where it's relatively amongst the group equal, and just to keep guys at a relatively lower amount, so that long season playing in the trenches, it's hard. You want to keep those guys fresh as long as you can. So yeah, you'd like to make it so that a guy's not worn out after 10 games because he's been taking a high load. So that's always been our philosophy. Like, that honestly comes from JG. He does a really good job with that. And, it can depend week to week what your numbers look like, how you have to play that game. But I think over the course of the season, you want to make sure the guys are fresh.
What are some of the things that maybe you like about Dr. Stills, what he gave you, and maybe some areas of focus going forward too?
Yeah, he did some stuff in the run game that I thought was good, as far as just, footwork, block recognition, hands, shedding blocks, all that stuff. Continue to do that, continue to work on that. He's very athletic, so being able to do it for him is actually relatively easy. It's about doing it when the bullets are flying. There's different calls. You're hearing different communication. You're getting different blocks at a very fast tempo. So just getting those reps over and over is going to allow him to continue to play fast and utilize that skill set that he has.
I know you guys obviously needed and wanted to make a move after your injuries. You guys brought back Naquan after letting him go. How crucial is it to be able to go find a guy that knows what you're doing at that point? Because you're not always going to be able to find a guy like that who understands what you're trying to do.
Yeah, I mean, that helps. I think what I like about Naquan is he had a really good camp, and I know he's a really good player. He's a guy that it was hard to see him walk out of this building, and it's great to see him back in the building, because I know he can help contribute to winning games. So obviously the familiarity helps, but honestly, I love the guy. I love the player. That's what I'm excited about, having him back in the building.
Is it tiring when the defense is on the field significantly longer than the offense. And there was a drive where offensively the Cardinals were on the field for like 90 seconds. Mentally, what is the challenge there, or what is said when you feel like the defense maybe is on the field longer than?
Well, you got to get off, you know. If you don't want to be on the field, get off the field. So you got to get to third down. You got to execute on third down. If it is a long drive or you're out there a lot, you better be trained, and that goes into our practice, going back to OTAs, training camp. Like, we better be conditioned for those situations because it's going to happen, and you have to be able to still play good throughout the drive, play good in the red zone, be ready to go right back out there. You never know what can happen. Kickoff return for a touchdown, like we're back up. Like, it doesn't matter. So you got to be ready to play. You got to be ready to go, and if you're getting tired, get off the field. That's the best way to get yourself some rest.
When it comes to third down, where do you think you can improve the most and just eliminating?
Getting off. You know, we got to get off the field a little bit more on third down. A lot of factors that play into that. Obviously, the more you can make that third and longer, the better. But also, ultimately, it's going to come down to what's the plan. You know, is the plan good, or did it need to be better? Are we executing if it was the right call, or are we not executing? So it's all those things of, you know, week to week, you know, set up the plan the right way and execute at a high level.
Nick, I doubt you're pouring over Pro Football Focus grades on Monday morning, but Max Melton had a really good grade. Did it show up on the field?
Yeah, I mean, there was really good stuff that Max did. There's stuff that he needs to improve on. You know, like, as simple as that. Like, you know, you can see he's making strides over these first 4 games, and he's gonna, you know, continue to put in the work and get better.
What's the good stuff that he did?
I mean, the job of the corners to cover. So, you know, he was body on a lot of things. Some things you'd probably like to say, hey, get a little bit tighter, improve your technique here or there, but that's ultimately the job of the corner.
What do you see from what Jordan Mason does so well in that 49er offense?
Yeah, I mean, he knows how to run the different type of runs they have, the wide zone. Very good at finding those, just reading it down the line, finding those cuts, and then when he does find that seam, he is a load to bring down. He gets downhill. So, you know, he's doing a great job right now of hitting his tracks in the run game, and when he finds that cut, he's making it, and then he runs hard and he runs downhill, and he's a big man. So you got to do a good job of tackling and mitigating those hitting yardages because, you know, right now he's breaking through tackles and doing a really good job.
This might seem simplistic, but what is it about that 49ers running game scheme that seems that whoever they put back there seems to be productive?
Yeah, you know, it complements very well from how they set up their wide zone, and then how that can complement their inside run game. You know, it all looks very similar to a defensive lineman. So it looks like a backside cutoff is actually now a front side deuce. You know, it looks like a B block, and now it's a deuce. It's a B deuce. So, and all of a sudden now it's getting washed and they're creasing you. And then within the wide zone game, they do such a good job of being able to change the points. You know, they're running 38-39. Is it 18-19? You know, how can they take advantage of 2 highs where they can take the point back 1 and create a short edge? Changing up the front side combinations depending on what kind of front you're in with the tight ends. You know, they have different, you know, Zoros, Zeldas, Sammy, like different ways that they can change up that front side. And then the way that they get their receivers involved as well. You know, those guys have different rules, whether it's, you know, pushing the count, 38-39, 18-19, get them involved in cracking, you know, like big cat, wildcat, all that different stuff that they have. It syncs up very well. And what they can create in wide zone is short edges, and they can really capture your edge very well. So that, coupled with the inside runs that complement and look the same to the defense, is ultimately, I think, what they do really well.
There's been a trend this year where even when you guys do get pressured at the quarterback, you're giving up a lot of completions and a lot of yards. Why do you think that has been the case?
That can be a case by case by the play. You know, whether that's we got to cover it better, or maybe the scheme said, you know, you want to take away the big play and give them some air, and we got to bang, bang, get it down or disrupt the football. So it can depend on what they're doing and ultimately the scheme that you have up.